Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven. I'm a pharmacist and I own 52 units of real estate. So some exciting news. One day out of the blue, my property manager for my 20-unit apartment complex in Oklahoma just sent me a text saying, hey, one of the apartments nearby that I'm managing, the owner's interested in selling it. Would you be interested in taking down this deal? And I was like, of course, right? Because this is what I love, right? Like this is how you get great off-market deals through your property manager. And this property manager that I have, they've been great. They helped me renovate my 20 unit. They helped me stabilize it. They helped me go from 7 units occupied all the way up to 20 units occupied. They send their monthly reports on time. They communicate with me timely. It's been a great experience, right? So they sent me a deal of another owner where they helped manage this property longer. I think they've managed it for at least 8 years now. So I just said, all right, cool. Well, just send me the T12 and the rent roll. And what's nice is because I use, Rent Manager, AppFolio, it's easy. I get automated monthly reports. I get my P&L automated to me. I get my rent roll audited to me monthly. So it's easy to check out. So they sent me the T12 for the past 12 years pretty fast, right? Because I know they have all that information already. So I saw the income on the property and I saw the rent roll. So what was interesting about the property was I think the total income for the year was about $10,000 or $100,000. So I think if you divide by 12, that's roughly around $8,200 roughly a month in income. And I looked at the rent roll, and the rent roll had 18 units, and I think 2 are vacant, and the rent roll was kind of roughly around $8,000 as well. So I just said, okay, cool. This initially checks out. I looked at the expense, and the expense was so the T12 missed 2 things, which was number 1 was insurance, which is around $8,000, and property tax, which is also around $8,000. So I think their NOI, once you factor that in, was roughly around 50% of the income, which is how I underwrite it. So I had $100,000 in income, $50,000 in expenses, or it might have been a little bit less, but my NOI was about $58,000, right? So I asked, okay, I got the information. I just said, okay, what price is the owner is looking for? And the owner said, well, they want about $800,000 for this 18-unit apartment complex, which comes out to be about $44,000 per door. So the owner is very fixated on $44,000 per door. So out the gate, I already kind of knew because I own my 20-unit apartment complex like 2 miles away from there. So I think their apartment is in a better location. It's more west. It's near restaurants. It's near... it's kind of more happening where I'm at. It's kind of closer to like a stadium. So, with that comes more homeless, unfortunately, and, more crime, more transients. But over there, 2 miles over here, west, it's a lot better, right? So I knew it was a better location because I could look at the rents. Like my rents, albeit mine are all 1-bedroom or studios, was getting about maybe $500 to $600 top end. And then and these are fully renovated units, right? Versus his was, he had 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms, but he was getting between $600 to $700, and his were not renovated at all, like for the most part, right? It looked like my property pre-renovation. So, I saw the numbers. I was like, okay, out the gate, half 1 bedroom, half 2 bedroom. Of course, the 2 bedrooms were getting like $700 up to $800, and then the 1 bedrooms were getting $600 to $700, which is the same as my 26 unit in Oklahoma as well. So I just got really excited, and she said that, they actually manage another apartment nearby, and they have more renovated units, and they're getting about $800. So if I renovate the units over time organically, I could raise the rents even higher from $700 to $800. But putting in maybe $5,000 towards renovation, at least per unit. So, I liked the numbers, but I didn't like the price, right? Because I refinanced my 20 unit back in July of 2023. And what happened was when interest rates went up, the cap rates went up, right? So I refinanced it. My interest rate is 6.5%, I believe, at the time. And today it's no better, it might be higher, right? So it might be 7.5% to 8% interest rate, just given this market recently. So if your interest rate is 8%, your cap rate at best case is going to be a 10 cap, right? Like it's going to be a 10 cap. That's what was underwritten for. That's how the appraiser valued my 20 unit when I did cash out refinance. So they actually valued my 20 unit based on the NOI divided by 10 cap. So I had about an NOI of $52K. and divided by 10 cap, the value was 520K for my 20 unit, which is what is that, about 26K per door. So knowing out the gate it's 44K per door and it's not renovated, that didn't seem good to me, right? Like, because I knew, once again, if I go traditional financing, they're gonna look at the NOI, which is 58K, divide by 10 cap. The best I can offer is 580K, like, on this deal. So let's call it $600,000 would be if I went through a traditional bank. But the seller want $800,000. So I said this to my property manager, who's going to be the realtor between us two, and she's trying to set up a conference call with us. But I just said, okay, this is two scenarios I can see happening. Option A, which I think it's better, obviously, for both parties, is if I'll give him his price, $800,000, right? Which I think I'm overpaying for the property based on the NOI divided by the 10 cap. And, I get it. Interest rates are higher. So that increases the cap rate, so the value doesn't go down. So it's a bad time to sell, right? But hey, if you want to do creative financing, it's owned free and clear. I'll give you your price, $800,000, but I want to negotiate terms, right? So I want to negotiate terms where if, I'm getting $8,000 a month in income, and let's just say $4,000 goes to expense, and then I have $4,000 left over, my monthly interest payment, my monthly bill payment should be no more than like $3,000, give or take, right? So if that's the case, to get that number, roughly it'd be about 10% down. I'd carry a note of $720K at 5% interest only, like roughly, right? It's about $3,000 a month. So, but I have the upside of increasing the rents to about $750 on average, right? $700 for a one bedroom, $800 for a two bedroom. They're half each unit mix. So that's $750 each. And I think the rental income is, let me do that math real quick. So if I have 750, let's see, 750 times 18 units is gross going to be about $13,000, but it's 85% occupancy. So roughly about $11,000 a month. And if I calculate my expenses, my NOI is cut about half for expenses, about $5,700 minus $3,000. I can cash flow $2,700 a month, right? Once this property is stabilized. So I just said, okay, I'll give you your price, $800,000, and I want to negotiate terms to get my payment to $3,000. And then I would explain the benefits of seller finance. So number one, you still get monthly income. Number two, you don't pay capital gains tax, right? Because it's gonna be a big bill to Uncle Sam, 20%. So if he profiting $500,000, he's gonna pay Uncle Sam $100,000. And then also, by being seller financing, you get monthly income without dealing with the headache, right? Versus if you want me to go traditional bank, this is how they're going to underwrite it, right? Like they're going to look at NOI divided by the cap rate of 10 cap, and that's going to be roughly $580K, $600,000. I do it 25% down, 8% interest rate, probably 7-year term, amortized over 20 to 30 years. That's roughly going to be about $3,000 payment as well. So I just told them, and if I go through a traditional bank, they're going to do more inspections, right? They're going to do more due diligence on the roof and, and all this. So it's a lot more headache for me, a lot more headache for him. So, and it's a lower price. So I just said, which one do you want? Do you want a higher price, but you become the bank, or do you want a lower price, but I go through a traditional bank? So that's how I typically make my offers. So, I'm hoping to set up a conference call with this person. When I talked to the realtor / property manager, it was way over her head. So I said, you know what? Let's just schedule a call. I want to give her a commission, because if she brought me this great deal, by all means, I don't mind paying. But I want to talk to the owner directly to build that trust. And what's nice too is my property manager can serve as escrow to make those monthly payments on my behalf to him, right? And he knows the property, and my property is nearby as well, right? So this is the economies of scale, right? I have the same contractor to renovate. I can renovate it exactly the same as my 20 unit. I know the rents are gonna be higher. I know the tenant base. I know the property manager. They're just gonna send me 2 reports automatic. I talk to her once a month anyways. Instead of 1 property, I'm talking about 2 properties. So I'm really, really hoping that I would do some creative financing on this deal so I can take this down. I'm hoping to do 10% down and spread that down payment over maybe 4 to 5 years to limit his capital gains burden while also increasing my cash position, right? So I'll keep you guys posted. If you want to learn how to buy multifamily real estate with some guidance, check out the mentorship program. If you want to join my community on school and go on live weekly calls to ask me questions, check that out. They're both in the link down below. Otherwise, let me know what comments or questions you have, and hope to see you in the next one. Thank you so much.